Hello and welcome to Kaleidoscope Literacy with your host, me, Steph. So you're probably wondering, why is this model different from the introduction? Well, there's two reasons for that. One, I wanted to make different models for each book review. And two, I made the review, edited out, and then realized I didn't do an introduction. So this is me redoing an introduction after ed. So, yeah, I'm gonna just do a little housekeeping before we start. I'm going to plan on doing 2 reviews a week on Monday and Friday, and in between that, I'm going to do a reaction that will be released on Wednesday. Hopefully, being the fact that this is much more easier for me to do, it'll work out. Yay! I'm giving myself high hopes. Reactions are going to be books that I'm already reading. The reviews are books that I've read before and are just like looking back at. Specifically because I'm not doing plot points, I'm doing what my impression of characters were, and what is the behavior that was the most memorable for me. Like, what was the most memorable behavioral-wise or relationship-wise that I really found that I liked about the book. Talking about relationships, one of the things that I don't like about fake relationships in adult media is the whole concept of the whole upper class stuff. Actually, let's fix that up. The one thing I hated about Rich Asians is the fact that the male lead wasn't honest about his wealth. So the female lead, and I kind of hated that fact really bad. And to my joy, I was recommended this book by another YouTuber, whose name is Jason. I will put his YouTube channel onto my description so you can see his own review on this book. But yeah, it's thanks to him that I was introduced to this book, and I'm going to tell you about that book. The next book I'm going to review has to do with this outfit because it's going to be about a homeless character and about kind of a really messed up situation. So I'm hoping you're going to have a ton of fun with that. So yeah, this is going to be a review for, if you see the title, but I just want to show off the cover because I think the cover is great. Dates and Mooncakes! I hope you guys enjoy it. It was a review that I loved. I read the book. The corgi is amazing, and I hope you enjoy this psychoanalyze of the characters from the book Mooncakes and Fake Dates. I'm sorry, I can't take the crop out unless I want to stop the recording of it. So here, my face is covered. I hope you enjoy. See you on Friday. Note to self: make sure that your microphone is actually charging itself. That would be useful. Anyways, in my opinion, Crazy Rich Asian wishes it had the character development and relationships that Fake Dates and Mooncakes have. Which is crazy, being the fact that one is a young adult book and one is an adult book that got turned into a movie. And just how I couldn't believe the relationship in Crazy Rich Asian, and how in just a couple of pages of a paragraphs of the interaction between Diane and Theo, I could totally believe them being in a relationship. So what is Fake Dates and Mooncakes about? It's about a young boy named Diane Theo who has been dealing with quite a bit of loss. The loss of his mom, and the risk of losing the restaurant that connects him with his Thai culture and his mom, and also putting risk in his aunt's business because the restaurant after his mother's death is being run by his aunt, who has taken him in, and he's living with his aunt and cousin. So he sees the Mooncakes contest as a great way to get connections, to get people into the door, into the restaurant. But even with that, they're still running on day-to-day earnings. So he has to make sure that every order is right, every customer is happy, or just hope that he gets a grant sadly, in one of these, him running a dish as they're short staffed because, again, they don't have that much money on hand after dealing with such a financial loss as medical debt. He ends up meeting Bea, who is from a much more upper class society-wise, and gets money in the form of braids. Theo has enough money to make a fake braids that was only available for Diane and his family. Then he has to do one little tiny favor for him, which is lead his date to a wedding. Now, there's a reason for it, and I'm going to talk about that when we discuss the different relationships in the characters and just the different trauma each of these characters deal with and how these relationships help them deal with the trauma or worsen the trauma in some cases. Not all of them. Theo. It's Theo. Dylan has a great relationship with his parents and his roots and culture. But Theo's kind of on his own. He's kind of this little island in the middle of the sea, and it makes him and Dylan's relationship so much more precious. It's like Dylan really was that. What is it called? Lighthouse. The lighthouse that, like, shone this light in the middle of the darkness that he didn't even realize he was involved in and stuck in, and he helped him get out of it. And it's precious. Also, there's another meaning for that, but you gotta read the book to understand it. So, let's talk about the relationships in the book. Let's start with some of the side character relationships, such as Dylan and his aunts and his cousin. Dylan and his aunt have this really sweet relationship where they really try to be there for each other, especially with the mooncake competition. They're both mutually supporting each other. They're both, in a kind of way, his aunt is treating him very much like his son and is doing the things that probably she wished that Dylan's mom could be able to do, such as teaching him how to make a mooncake. He's never made a mooncake. And such an event that typically would have been done, his mom would have done, is now becoming something that he shares with his aunts, and they kind of like share this kind of feeling of loss of what it was like when she made mooncakes, and they kind of like shared those kind of experience to be able to learn how to make a proper mooncake, one that's ready for the competition, and it's adorable and precious and sweet, and it's kind of these kind of relationships that I really love. It's not something dramatic or big, but you see how much respect they both have. There is kind of some issues where Dylan kind of is between the fact that he kind of wants to go to culinary school, that a lot of people want him to do something better. Because, again, just like many immigrant families that start off with a restaurant, they don't want their kids just to, well, in their opinion, limit themselves into just cooking and doing the same job they did. They want them to explore themselves, to go higher in a level that they couldn't imagine. My mom owned a restaurant months ago, and she would never have told us, you don't need, or my younger sister, to be working in a restaurant and just make that the rest of our lives. She wanted us to achieve things that she could never imagine, which is the encouragement that allowed me to get my bachelor's degree in psychology and my sister's bachelor's degree in biology. But there is a sense that there is mutual respect, especially even on the educational aspect. You'll find that's more in the latter part of the book. But the way that's treated is so delightful and sweet and adorable and just great. And it shows that the author has this great understanding of relationships and communication and the clarity and how it allows people to feel at ease with clear communication. And it's adorable and amazing. His cousin, my gosh, his cousin is the best. On their date to go into be his date for the marriage wedding, of Theo's family, Diane wants to be presentable. He be kind of like the rich. He wants to be dressed nicely. And his cousin puts all his normal clothing, and she tells him that he needs to be himself, because that's the reason why Dylan wanted to ask him on a date. Again, he very much wants to hide the whole brand thing because of his prideful nature, but it's so hilarious and adorable just how, even though they're not siblings, just how much sibling there is. It brought me back to memories of just how comfortable you are with a sibling if you're really close to them, and that's kind of how I feel with my own sister. But yeah, it just shows again like a really great understanding of relationships and what makes them work, and how beautiful relationships at work end up being. Now let's talk about Dylan and Theo and Theo's interaction with the Thai culture. Because Theo is half Thai. The Thai is from his mother's side. His father kind of brushes that part of him away. And it's really fascinating just how much Dylan introduces him to his Thai culture in kind of like this comforting way. It's like, come with me and we'll go and find this out. He shares sayings in Thai and Cantonese. So correct. It's been a while since we read the book, but it's just what's the Cantonese, that's what I wanted to know. And just how he's so kind and compassionate and caring and stuff. And just how he can respect Theo's loss and Theo's kind of like boundaries in a like really solid way. Now, this is going to lead to just why I think that fake Dates and Mooncakes understood relationships in a much better way than Crazy Rotation is the fact that, just like in Crazy Rotation, the only difference being which parent it was, Theo also gets told off for trying to date someone of higher status than him. And in this case, it's Theo's dad who keeps telling him that he knows that Dylan is using Theo for financial gain, being the fact that his family owns a restaurant that is in financial need. That he took money from the grants that Theo made, and in Theo's dad's mind, he convinced Theo to make this grant, to give him money. And of course, Dylan, being the prideful person, doesn't take the money, which is not a shock. What is a shock is what Theo's dad does to like really break the relationship. And what I really love about it, unlike Crazy Rich Asian where the female lead had to like speak up for herself and like show that she's stronger to the male lead's parents, which is not a responsibility. It's supposed to be the responsibility of the person that family member is to like take responsibility and speak for your partner. Dylan speaks for himself, and then Theo speaks for himself about the relationship, of the nature of the relationship, of the fact that he's not dating Dylan as an act of rebellion, and he's actually has this feeling towards Theo, and he does it in an act of service, which is great, which is even better, because Dylan does have these moments where he doesn't really know how they stand relationship-wise, and Theo shows that he does care about Dylan in an act of service. He does this amazing thing that not only helps him connect back to his roots, but also allows Theo to like really connect his own roots and allows him to like really speak up for himself about his own wants and needs, especially considering the fact that for most of his life he's had to be kind of like this model heir. And it's amazing and spectacular, but the fact of the matter that the book allows Theo, who is kind of a passive character for a lot of the part of the book, to be an active role in the relationship with not just Dylan, but with his own parents is amazing. And I kind of hated that fact in Crazy Rich Asian where the male lead becomes really passive throughout most of the book and you make me want to like be invested in him. Like, no. He needs to be active enough for me to go like, yeah, you'll be in that relationship. And the fact, I'm sorry, I have problems with it. Now let's talk about Dylan and Theo and Theo's interaction with the Thai culture. Because Theo is half Thai. The Thai is from his mother's side. His father kind of brushes that part of him away. And it's really fascinating just how much Dylan introduces him to his Thai culture in kind of like this comforting way. It's like, come with me and we'll go and find this out. He shares sayings in Thai and Cantonese. They're correct. It's been a while since I read the book, but it just lacks such a depth. And just how he's so kind and compassionate and caring and stuff. And just how he can respect Theo's loss and Theo's kind of like boundaries in a like really solid way. Now, this is going to lead to just why I think that fake dates and mooncakes understood relationships in a much better way than Crazy Rich Asian is the fact that, just like in Crazy Rich Asian, the only difference being which parent it was, Theo also gets told off for trying to date someone of higher status than him. And in this case, it's Theo's dad who keeps telling him that he knows that Dylan is using Theo for financial gain, being the fact that his family owns a restaurant that is in financial need. That he took money from the grants that Theo made, and in Theo's dad's mind, he convinced Theo to make this grant to give him money. And of course, Dylan, being the prideful person, doesn't take the money. Which is not a shock. What is a shock is what Theo's dad does to like really break the relationship. And what I really love about it, unlike Crazy Rich Asian where the female lead had to like speak up for herself and like show that she's stronger to the male lead's parents, which is not the responsibility. It's supposed to be the responsibility of the person that family member is to like take responsibility and speak for your partner. Dylan speaks for himself, and then Theo speaks for himself about the relationship, of the nature of the relationship, of the fact that he's not dating Dylan as an act of rebellion, and he's actually has this feeling towards Theo, and he does it in an act of service, which is great, which is even better, because Dylan does have these moments where he doesn't really know how they stand role-wise, and Theo shows that he does care about Dylan in an act of service. He does this amazing thing that not only helps him connect back to his roots, but also allows Theo to like really connect his own roots and allows him to like really speak up for himself about his own wants and needs, especially considering the fact that for most of his life he's had to be kind of like this model heir. And it's amazing and spectacular that the fact of the matter that it's what allows Theo, who is kind of a passive character for a lot of the part of the book, to be an active role in the relationship with not just Dylan, but with his own parents, is amazing. And I kind of hated that fact in Crazy Rich Asian where the male lead becomes really passive throughout most of the book, and you make me want to like be invested in him. Like, no. You used to be active enough for me to go like, yeah, you'll be in that relationship. And the fact, I'm sorry, I have problems with it. This is an edit of the outro, as you can tell. by my amazing outfit choice. And this is going to be a reminder that the arrival, which I did hint about in the original outro, the unedited talk, I discussed about it. I talked about the arrival. That's a reaction. It's only available on YouTube. I have a ton of books that I've read that I really would love to do the review on, so I'm going to do the review on those first before I try to do a review of the reactions. My reactions are books that I, at the time, had just finished, and so those were my real reactions, and the review is much take quite a bit of time for me to go like, yeah, looking back, this is the behavior that I found really interesting, or the relationships that I found really interesting, and so I could talk about them now that I'm kind of far away from the actual quality of the story. Also, because I have a reading comprehension disability, and it's super interesting how I focus more on the behavioral side and the relationship sides of stories instead of like the plot of it. Reading a comprehension disability. So on Friday, I want to remind this perfectly because last time I tried to do this outro edited, I said Thursday, but I don't. I'm not going to release anything Thursday. I'm releasing things on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I am going to release Biting Neighbors and Winning Wages, which is about vampires trying to make a living and ending up homelessness. And I absolutely love the fact that the story does treat vampirism as a drug addiction and what leads people to drug addictions and like homelessness, and it's super fascinating. But it also has a revenge plot and the like the unethical treatment that minorities get in some medical experiences, and how that has been taken away because we now see everyone as human. But what if we could just, strip that humanity from people with just one easy step? I'm going to talk more about that. I might have to talk about the plot a little, so a little bit of a spoiler. Hopefully I won't. But yeah, I'm going to show you the cover so you can expect what it is. I'm sad to say this one is, the cover is smaller than the other one, so there it is. Fighting Neighbors and Winning Bets. I can't wait for you guys to listen to it on Friday. So see you guys on Friday for those on Spotify and for those on YouTube. You'll see the reaction towards the arrival on Wednesday. So see you then. Bye!